Hello everybody. In this paper, I will be taking you on a tour of contemporary fanzines and their culture, the co-creative processes utilized in their production, and their relationship to deplatforming across social media platforms. My name is Alyse Allred, a graduated master's student in UX design from Purdue University, presenting this paper on behalf of my co-author, Colin, associate professor at Purdue University. To get started, a little bit of context. A fanzine is a fan magazine, an unofficial publication of transformative work that is designed, produced, and sold to members of media fandom. In ye olde days of transformative fandom, fanzines were mostly textual and were critical avenues to circulate fandom news and fanfiction. After the internet stepped in to support those roles, fanzines largely went out of circulation, up until the mid-2010s when fan communities experienced a massive resurgence of the practice. New fanzines are markedly different, though, with a significant bump in production quality and a focus shift from fanfiction to fan art. New fanzines also frequently bundle the print publication with professional-grade merchandise, such as keychain charms or enamel pins. To investigate these practices further, I led 2 different studies in order to describe how these communities engage in creative production and better understand how they have remained successful in the wake of platform bans and their existence in a legal gray area. My own positionality as a researcher directly enabled me to lead this research. I am a longtime participant in online transformative fandom communities and over the past 5 years have participated in over 30 fanzine projects and successfully run a project of my own. My deep involvement with the community prior to conducting this research enabled me to connect with and build trust and reciprocity with project participants as I engaged in data collection and analysis. In the first study, I conducted interviews with 5 fan artists who had previously participated as a moderator on a fanzine project. Through a bottom-up thematic analysis, we identified 3 primary roles that structured fanzine production: moderators, contributors, and customers. Moderators acted as project managers, organizing contributors, managing deadlines, advertising to potential customers, and overseeing production and shipment of the final product. Contributors provide the fanzine's content, which can include illustrations, short fan fiction, or merchandise design. Finally, customers act as the fanzine's patrons, whose pre-orders enable fanzine production. However, there is significant fluidity to these roles. Moderators often produce fanzine content alongside their contributors. Contributors, although compensated with complimentary copies of the fanzine and its merchandise, often purchase extra copies as gifts or personal stock. And customers are offered transparency and opportunities to voice their opinions on the project's direction via social media. The actual process of fanzine co-creation spans several months and can be split into 6 distinct steps. Fanzine projects usually start with an interest check, a period of preliminary research wherein moderators utilize social media to determine the level of support for the potential project. If interest is established, moderators court potential contributors through a call for applications. Once contributors are selected and notified, the content creation begins. This period is usually facilitated through a private Discord server, allowing moderators and contributors to socialize, network, and offer critique. When content creation has wrapped up, a pre-order period opens to the general public. Once funding is secured, moderators begin the arduous task of assembling content for print publication and working with international manufacturers to produce merchandise. Additional insights came as we analyzed and formatted the interviews into a series of 4 case studies, which increased our understanding of the richness and complexity of the interactions across this process. These interviews helped to clarify that fueling fanzine projects is a spirit of collaboration and resistance to existing oppressive structures in the pursuit of creative expression. However, when investigating the way that fanzines have shifted away from fanfiction towards fan art, we realized that the current fanzine revival was motivated in no small part by the lack of archival infrastructure for fan artists. These insights became the foundation for our co-design work. Building on the results of the interview study, the goal of the second study was to create a space for fanzine moderators to build upon current fandom archival efforts and create the potential for new opportunities for archiving fanzine work. The primary site for this study was a private chat server hosted over Discord, and the project lasted approximately 2 months. The co-design consisted of a series of workshops that aimed to build trust among participants, help them to identify the priorities of their fanzine community, and generate new ways to address these needs. Individual workshops varied in length and types of generative research and incorporated traditional design methods such as affinity diagramming, with techniques adapted directly from the fan artist community. We engaged participants in a collaborative drawing exercise where participants utilized a shared digital art canvas and collaboratively sketched ideas while conversing over an audio call. Then we used an adaptation of the telephone game, where each artist received and redrew an image before passing it along to be redrawn again by the next artist in the sequence. For our project, participants were asked to iterate upon interface designs linked to the archiving of fan art. Over the 2-month project, our participants expressed the desire to protect their art from control or erasure by more powerful entities, to be acknowledged for their contributions to fandom, and to be legitimized in the eyes of the academic institution. Co-design participants relied heavily on the precedent set by AO3 to begin addressing several long-running needs in the community. However, despite its close ties with fan fiction, our project demonstrated that fan art cannot simply be treated as fan fiction with pictures. Yet there currently exists no other infrastructure by which to meaningfully study fan art communities that are scattered across social media platforms. This provides opportunities for both expanding the role of Fanish studies in CSCW scholarship, as well as building upon established tools and techniques for creative production. The creative production of fanzines, which has proven wholly capable of the professional organization and management skills required to direct a complex international creative effort, also revealed new ways to consider notions of professionalization and competence with respect to mentoring relationships. Fanzine teams displayed a wide range of creative, project management, manufacturing, and networking skills of different levels of skill and ability, with mentorship distributed organically across the pseudonymous community. This in turn may allow further investigation of other forms of flexible professional interaction in other creative communities, particularly those outside of traditional professional spaces. Although recent years have seen increased legal tolerance for fan works, they still very much exist in an area of gray legality. Fanfiction wisdom has created safety behind non-profit agreements and non-ownership disclaimers. Fanzines do not share this social norm. While well aware that their wares are technically illegal, fanzine moderators have simply endeavored to get smarter about how they conduct business. Most interactions are conducted over private emails or servers. Pre-order periods are short, rarely running more than a single print run. While the promise of exclusivity helps drive sales, it is mostly a failsafe against corporate intervention. Yet, while fanzines actively challenge the old fandom wisdom of not selling fan works for profit, they also challenge attempts at the commercialization of fandom. While fanzines are undoubtedly a product, they are not designed with the intention of earning money. Prices are kept close to production cost, and most of the content is made digitally available to the general public afterwards. When considering that some fanzine projects attract professional artists whose rates start in the hundreds of US dollars per hour, it becomes clear that financial gain is not the end goal. Continued exploration may reveal other opportunities to characterize creative engagement that exists beyond the commercial or professional. An emergent finding from early in the co-design was resonance with the phrase, "Be gay, do crimes." The motto is common in many fan art communities, both an acknowledgement of the inherent queerness of fandom and the fan works they produce, as well as the continuous reminder to resist and push back against would-be oppressors. For fanzine moderators who have dealt with platform policy changes, DMCA strikes, and cease and desists, the doing of crimes was simply a way of life. Fanzines represent resilience and resistance to forces that would attempt to control how media was interpreted and shared. We gratefully acknowledge our participants who contributed the hours of interviews and design research required to make this project a success. We also acknowledge the work of the Organization for Transformative Works, whose fandom advocacy efforts have provided the framework for the preservation and academic legitimization of fan works and Fanish history. Thank you.